Okay, I'm gonna hope that everybody can hear me and see me okay, and see my screen. But I am Melissa and I am a coach for Prime of Life Fitness and Nutrition. And we are gonna talk today about 10 health foods that aren't really all they're cracked up to be. When I say health foods, that's kind of a loose term. But then we're also going to talk about 3 things that we really do want to include in our diet. So, first off, let's talk about Healthy Steps Nutrition. That is, we are powered by Healthy Steps Nutrition. And the motto there is something as fundamental as nutrition should not be complicated. We focus on a simple habit-based approach versus making it really difficult and complicated and restrictive. Healthy Steps Nutrition gyms around the world have helped over 40,000 people take control of their health. And, I've been working with this nutrition coaching system for quite some time. And what I love about it is it's all material provided by registered dietitians. So they kind of guide us and teach us, and they know what they're talking about. And so it's nice that I'm assured that I'm giving quality advice for people who want to improve their health and nutrition. This is kind of a great little way to kick off our talk here. I just kind of want to talk about a product that you've probably seen. A lot of these have nutrition claims that sound amazing, but maybe they're not really all they're cracked up to be. I'm sure you've seen or heard of alkaline water at the grocery store or the gas station. Some of you might not even know exactly what alkaline means. It just means it has a pH greater than 7. So normal tap water has a pH of around 7, so it's neutral, whereas alkaline water has a higher pH, meaning it is more basic. The health claim behind this water is that it'll neutralize the acid in your bloodstream. By doing this, it is also claiming to prevent diseases like cancer and heart disease. Luckily, we know better than this. Alkaline water will change the pH of your urine and saliva, but not your actual body's blood pH. Our bodies are very sensitive, and they're very, well-tuned machines. So they work hard to make sure our blood stays within certain parameters. And our pH should stay between 7.35 and 7.45. And our bodies are really good at working to keep it in that level. Now, will it hurt you? Will alkaline water hurt you? No, but it might hurt your wallet because it's pretty expensive. And I will add a little disclaimer here. I don't know why, but anytime we go on a road trip, I buy an alkaline water. I buy a Smart Water. I think it's just the bottle is easy to handle in the car and it fits in my cup holder, but it's a big, I get the big liter size bottle. That's it. Just because I say these are maybe not worth the money that we pay for them doesn't mean that I don't participate in purchasing them at times. So with that, let's get into 10 foods that aren't worth the squeeze. That's like a perfect example. The bottom line is that marketing companies for food products do not care about your health. They care about persuading you to buy their product. Once you start thinking in terms of that, it's a little easier to start picking out what is and what maybe isn't necessarily the best healthy option for me. Did you know that companies invest in research, development, and marketing long before their actual product is even developed? Why do they do that? Because they know that consumers are willing to pay more for a product that has generated more demand. So the more a company is able to get the public interested in their product, the more they can charge. Many companies will claim their product has a particular beneficial nutritional property, such as changing your pH, or, being heart healthy or whatever. But some of these claims may not be entirely false. but it's more than likely stretching the truth when you really start to break it down. While food labels have regulations set forth by the government, their number one focus is still profit, and they spend billions of dollars a year figuring out what those catchwords are to put on the packaging. So let's dive into the 10 foods that are not worth the squeeze, and we'll kind of cover this. Number one, granola and granola bars. So this is, always kind of on the list of health foods. Granola and granola bars are great on-the-go snacks to keep our energy up throughout the day. Many companies realize that these appeal to busy consumers, gym goers, and even kids, because they're just easy to grab. To make them more appealing, you may see them with health claims, including heart healthy, lowers cholesterol, or high protein snack. Because of this marketing, they have become a staple in many of our carts, but they may not be the best choice. Granola bars are seen as a great source of energy, but what if I told you that energy goes just as easily as it comes? What do I mean by that? Basically, if we look at the nutrition facts on the label, granola bars are often high in one macronutrient, and that is carbohydrates. And it's generally, the granola itself is high in carbohydrates, but it also has a lot of sugar added to make it taste delicious. So while this may give you immediate energy, you're going to end up crashing because it's not sustainable energy. So you won't feel fueled for very long. This carb and sugar heavy snack will cause a spike in blood sugar, which is when you feel energized, followed by a quick crash. Even bars that are higher in protein, like Cliff Bars, are still packed with an average of 20 grams of added sugar. Not 20 grams of carbs, but that's just the extra sugar in the bar. Compare that to a candy bar, and you'll see what a big problem this is. For reference, the American Heart Association recommends no more than 38 grams of added sugar per day for men and 25 for women. You've got 20 grams in one Cliff Bar. So if, for us women, that's a lot. Just one of these bars is nearly your entire day's worth of sugar. Another one is cold cereals, and this is a battle in my house because my husband and my son both really love their cereal, but it's not great for them and it's not sustainable. Cold cereals, they're just convenient though, right? Did you know that cold cereal is the most popular breakfast food in my house? It is. I do keep my husband to, maybe once a week, but it is consumed by 31% of Americans who eat breakfast regularly. Many cereal brands market directly to kids by including, toys in boxes or using fun mascots, and they place them on the lower shelves in the grocery store, so they're at a kid's eye level. No wonder you can't leave the store without your kids asking for at least one box of it. Many cereals will make claims like heart healthy, a good source of fiber or protein, or contain whole grains, when actually they are packed with sugar, sodium, simple carbohydrates, the ones that are digested really quickly and then you crash, and even less protein and fiber than they seem to imply. And I promise you, after years of me trying to search for a better option with higher protein, at least so that, my son's not getting just straight up carbs and hardly any protein, they're just not out there. You might find some that say, protein packed in it, but it really only ends up to be 12 grams. And that's after you count the milk. And if you're not using cow's milk, then you don't even have that. So it's tough. And those particular cereals are quite pricey. So anyway, here's a label from a popular cereal. This is a 1 cup serving, and normally the serving sizes are anywhere from like 1/3 of a cup, or sorry, 2/3 to 1/4 cup. So this is a little bit more, but it's still probably far less than what we typically pour into our bowl. So there's not a lot of fat in here. There's a decent amount of sodium, but the carbs, we've got almost 25 grams of carbs, and only 1.4 grams of that is fiber, which is a problem. And then 12 grams of added sugar. So half of that 24 grams of carbs is just straight up sugar. And then the protein is 2 grams, which is nothing. You can look through here in the ingredients to see we're talking about Lucky Charms, and they have whole oat flour, which makes it sound healthy. Marshmallow bits, though, is the second ingredient, which is sugar, modified cornstarch, corn syrup, dextrose, gelatin, and artificial flavor. So that is just a ball of sugar, which, I mean, I don't think any of us are kidding ourselves about marshmallows being healthy. But then even after the marshmallows, more sugar with the corn syrup, more sugar. Like, I mean, it's just like sugar in all the different forms. So, and then yes, there's some added vitamins here, but it's such a small amount and they're probably not even in bioavailable form. So not worth it. Another one is flavored oatmeal. So those nice convenient packets that we get that people love because they're tasty and they smell so good when they're cooking, they are loaded with sugar. Much like breakfast cereals, you'll see similar claims with a lot more emphasis on its heart healthy properties. Where does this come from? Oatmeal is a food naturally higher in fiber. A diet high in fiber has been shown to better manage blood sugar levels, cholesterol, and decrease blood pressure, which helps our heart stay strong and healthy. That is all true. However, instant flavored oatmeals typically do not have those same properties. Instant oatmeal is processed more, and during this process loses most of its fiber content. So there's one little surprise for you. Remember, companies make products like these to make profit off of customers by making them think it's healthy, while also appealing to their taste buds and to make the manufacturing of this food as cheap as possible. So, while oatmeal can be a terrific source of heart-healthy whole grains, it is important to check the nutritional label before purchasing these products. Flavored instant oatmeal in particular is highly processed with less fiber and more added sugar. Both of these will lead to a spike in blood sugar followed by a crash. Remember, read the label. Choose less processed oatmeal such as steel cut or old-fashioned oats with minimal amounts of added sugar. Try adding fruit or a natural source of sugar like maple syrup, like pure maple syrup. Don't buy the like generic, I can't even remember what it's called these days. It's like maple flavored syrup. Don't buy that. Get like the real deal maple syrup, because there are some actual good nutrients in there. Yes, it's sugar, but you also get some other things like some magnesium and other good things. But check it for, you can add those things. I personally, most mornings eat old-fashioned oats. I cook it with water, and then I actually add a scoop of protein powder and a tablespoon of peanut butter to it. And I eat that pretty much every day. That's one thing that, oatmeal is missing is the protein. And I personally try to get about 30 to 40 grams of protein when I start my day. And so that works pretty well for me. There's a little bit of protein in the oats. There's a little bit of protein in the peanut butter, but the peanut butter is primarily for fats. But then I finish rounding it off with that scoop of protein powder. And that makes a well-rounded, complete meal with balanced amounts of carbs, protein, and fat. Now, I don't recommend you supplementing at every meal with a protein powder, but that is one meal. The rest of the day, I try to get my protein through whole food sources. So anyway, Moving on, the next item we have is flavored yogurt. Yogurt is packed with calcium, protein, and probiotics to keep our bones strong and our gut healthy. Those are all great things. Unfortunately, many flavored yogurts have a lot of added sugars to increase the palatability of and make it taste delicious. Some brands have over 20 grams of added sugar per serving. And one little thing to think about here is we're eating yogurt to, a lot of times for our gut health. All that extra sugar is actually terrible for our gut. So any benefit you might be getting from the probiotics that are in the yogurt, if they're even in there, because it's been so highly processed, a lot of these flavored yogurts that they have very small amounts of probiotics, but you're probably, I don't want to say undoing, but you're not helping with all the sugar, because that's going to feed the bacteria that we don't want. If we can remember back to the granola bars, men should limit their added sugar intake to 35 grams and women to 25. So if you eat one granola bar and one yogurt, you've blown through your sugar for the day. That's pretty crazy to think about. You think you're doing well because you eat one granola bar and a yogurt, and it's, in your mind, you're thinking, oh, I'm healthy, I'm doing well. But now we've already hit 40 grams of added sugar, lots of carbs, very little protein, and our energy is going to be up and down. So we really want to watch that. Flavored yogurts can also contain artificial dyes, preservatives, and other added ingredients that aren't good for us. And this is a concern, especially for the yogurts marketed to kids. There's more and more research coming out showing that kids are very sensitive to certain dyes. Not all kids, of course, but some kids are, and that consuming certain dyes can actually lead to behavioral issues. So, just something to think about. When choosing yogurts, find a Greek yogurt, which is higher in protein with less than 5 grams of added sugar. There's a few options out there, like the Chobani less sugar is pretty good. There's an Oikos, it's like protein, I don't know, it's in a black 000, that's what it's called. That one does have stevia added, which isn't necessarily like the best, only because people think of stevia as like a free pass, and it's not. It still has its own drawbacks. So it is, alternatively, maybe it's better than sugar, but my preferred method is to just get plain Greek yogurt, and then I keep frozen berries in the freezer, and I will thaw some frozen berries in the microwave real quick, and then add my yogurt to it, and then I'll even add some almonds on top of that and make a little like parfait. And it's delicious, and it's got a lot of protein and some basically fresh. The frozen veggies are picked at their peak, so are frozen veggies. That'd be gross. Frozen fruit is picked at their peak, and so they have lots of nutrients in it, and then you get some healthy fats from some almonds, and it's really a good little meal. The next one, smoothies. Smoothies can be a very refreshing and versatile way to increase your fruit, veggie, or protein consumption, or all of them if you make sure and put them all together in a smoothie. It's awesome. They can be loaded with fiber, protein, and healthy fats. And you know what they say, variety is the spice of life, because these are great because you can kind of mix it up. While smoothies can be a great way to spice up your fruit and veggie consumption, they may not be all they're cracked up to be. Many of these smoothie shops and prepackaged smoothies have a large amount of added sugar. So you really got to watch the ones that you buy, either like the pre-made ones, little kits, or, they come in frozen or whatever, or if you just buy it at a smoothie place, man, those are just loaded with sugar and sometimes a ton of fat as well. So watch that. Making them at home can be awesome though. Another misconception around smoothies is that they are low calorie snacks, great for weight loss, which is not always the case. Some smoothies can pack in over 1,000 calories, depending upon the size and the ingredients. And those are typically the ones, like if you go to Smoothie King or, any of the smoothie stores, you can really just look up the nutrition information before you go, and you will be shocked. I personally love to make them at home. I'll do, maybe once a week or so, I will make one again with my frozen berries. I'll put in a good amount of spinach, frozen spinach in there. Some frozen riced cauliflower is an awesome way to get more veggies into your life. Putting it into your smoothie, you don't taste it. I love to use almond milk or even just water, and then some protein powder or Greek yogurt. And then for fats, coconut milk is my favorite because it's so creamy, but sometimes I'll just use straight up almonds. Sometimes I'll just go with what's in the almond milk or the yogurt. So anyway, just making a smoothie at home can be great. It's just those prepackaged ones, and even those prepackaged ones at the store that are ready to like just throw in the blender. Some are okay, some are loaded with extra sugar. So just read the label. There's a theme, right? Acai, or however you want to say it. I really never know how it's supposed to be pronounced, but it's something in that nature. It's known as quite the superfood, but does it actually do what they say? Many claims say that acai bowls can benefit your brain, heart, and overall health because of the high antioxidant content. But there's no actual evidence backing this up. It's a good source of fiber, calcium, potassium, and vitamin A, but that does not make it a quick fix to your health problems or weight loss. Oftentimes you'll see this as food for weight loss. However, many places out there have packed these weight loss bowls, as they call it, weight loss bowls, with over 400 calories and a whole lot of added sugar that will spike your blood sugar. Another downfall to these is that commercially prepared acai bowls can be expensive. Costco's got some, and I'm like, I can't believe people buy these, but that's me. I'm a little weird. Although the brand may promote health and wellness and use fresh fruit and honey to top your bowl with, does not mean it's worth it. Again, like acai, I think of it as blueberries and strawberries. And, if you use it as part of a smoothie or part of a little bowl that you make at home, they can be great, where you have control over what's going into it and how much. It is a good way to get some nutrients in there and mix things up a little bit. However, as always, it's the prepackaged, commercially prepared, or if you go buy them at a store, at a little shop that makes them, that's where we run into trouble. We feel like we're doing something good for our health, and really we're just getting a ton of extra sugar, a lot of extra calories. And then it's kind of like one of those things where, back to the granola bars, we eat it, there's really not a whole lot besides sugar in it. And so we get that quick burst of energy, but then we crash again, and then we need more food. So just keep that in mind. Moving on, we've got sports drinks. This is I've been on a crusade for years on this. When you have a kid in sports, and you just start to wish you could help more people, put it that way. There is a never-ending list of sports drink brands. These products seem like a good source of hydration, usually containing electrolytes. But many of these sports drinks are packed with sugar derived from high fructose corn syrup. This is the same carbohydrate source found in soft drinks. And would you use a Coke to fuel for your exercise or your run, or, fuel your kid for their game? No. So I probably would not use these sports drinks to fuel for your whatever it is you have going on. A 20-ounce serving of Gatorade Thirst Quencher contains 36 grams of sugar. This is only a little less than the average soda. And this is more than the recommended daily amount. While carbohydrates and sugar for long-lasting workouts can improve performance, the best way to rehydrate is by drinking water. So next time, skip the sports drinks and look at regular water with an electrolyte supplement if you need, with no added sugar. Some of my favorite electrolyte supplements are the Element electrolyte supplement. You just put it in your water. And then Nuun, N-U-U-N, makes tablets that you can put in your water. Those are two great options. They don't have added sugar in them. They have actual usable amounts of electrolytes versus trace amounts, which is what most of the sports drinks have. There's hardly anything in there besides sugar. There's tons of sugar. And then the zero sugar options are not better. Their artificial sweeteners are not any better. We'll leave it at that. That's a discussion for another time. Another one is protein bars. Now, the caveat here, the RX bars that are on the screen, they don't count on as to what I'm going to cover, and I'll tell you why at the end. So protein bars are not amazing options. They seem to be the like holy grail of on-the-go snacks, but they can be misleading and downright tricky. They are marketed as a healthy, high protein snack to help you build muscle or even lose weight. But again, check the nutrition label. These bars can be high in calories and even sneaky added sugar, so much so that there is only a slight difference between that protein bar and a candy bar. I'm serious. Like, check it, read the ingredients, read the nutrition facts, and it's crazy. And it's probably not going to taste as good as a candy bar anyways. Some protein bars can be a good source of protein, fiber, and healthy fats, which is where the RX bars come in. They actually are pretty good bars, but others are high in sugar and lack other essential nutrients. We need to remember the place for a protein bar. It can be a great on-the-go snack to grab, or a quick fuel before a workout, or to recover after a workout. But when possible, we should choose whole food options. There are a wide variety of protein bar brands out there, but we need to take the time to look at the nutrition facts label rather than picking the most advertised brand. Like I said, the RX bars, the reason that I like them and recommend them to my nutrition clients is because they're like 4 ingredients of all whole foods. So they have dates, they have some sort of nuts, generally like almonds or walnuts. They'll have, if they have some fruit in it, it'll be a little bit of blueberry or raspberry or something. They have egg whites for protein, and they don't have any added sugar, and they're a balanced bar. So a lot of times you'll see these, marketed protein bars, and maybe they have like 5 grams of protein, which is nothing. That is not, they shouldn't even be allowed to call themselves a protein bar. And then they'll have 40 to 50 grams of carbs, and then a bunch of fat too. These actually have about 27 grams of carbs from the dates that are in it. And then they have 12 grams of protein from the egg whites. And then they usually have somewhere between 7 to 8 grams of fat. So they're a nice, well-rounded option, balanced. That's what we're after, right? We don't want tons of one macronutrient and then not very much of another. Moving on to our next thing, gluten-free products. So way back a few years ago when, gluten was all the, you wanted to make sure and avoid it. I mean, it's true. Some people need to avoid it and it is not good for them. And other people do have a little bit of a sensitivity to it, and it's best if they avoid it. But the problem is that the marketers figured out that just saying things are gluten-free means that people will buy them. And so they charge a premium for them, and they're not any healthier. They're still loaded with carbs generally. And they probably don't even taste as good as regular gluten. So, if you think of gluten-free snacks as better, think again. Many people can fall into this trap, but it is important to remember that conventional products are rich in fiber, vitamins, and minerals, that gluten-free products often lack. Many gluten-free snack products are processed and contain sugar, fats, and additives that are not beneficial to your health goals. Just because a product is gluten-free does not make it any healthier than the alternative. So it's something to kind of think about. Like for a long time, I was like, oh, we can't have gluten. It's not good for us. And then you start buying all these alternatives. You're spending a ton more money, but they've been processed so much, and you're still, it's just not generally worth it. Marketers just know that we're willing to pay for things if it seems healthier. And the only real reason to buy gluten-free items is if you have celiac disease or gluten sensitivity. Like, other than that, I wouldn't sweat it. And wherever you can get whole grain options instead, that's going to be a little bit better because you get more fiber. So anyway, that's one of the things I've changed my views on over the years. Along with this next one, keto friendly products. So a lot of times we see keto friendly and we think, oh, okay, that's going to be healthy. But really what we should think is, okay, that's going to be loaded with fat. And again, fat's not necessarily bad, but let's just kind of talk about this. So like, if you've been grocery shopping recently, you know, there is a keto version for everything. And why do you think there's a keto version for everything? Because the marketers know that it sells, and they could charge a ton for it. And we think it's healthy, but it may not be. They are often packaged products, and that means they are highly processed. As we know, processed foods can have many unwanted added ingredients that can have a negative impact on our health. We should also remember that our body's main source of energy is carbohydrates. When we can incorporate a balance of all three macronutrients, we will feel more energized and satisfied, helping us to better achieve our goals. Keto products and the keto diet aim to minimize carbohydrates in the diet, which may not be the best balance for achieving your goals. I know, like, we all know people that have lost a ton of weight on keto or swear by it. I've played around with it. I've actually gone as far as testing my blood sugar every morning and after meals, just to see, because I like to experiment, because it helps me know, like, it just helps me to kind of sort through all the noise. The problem is that most of us, we just don't need to go that drastic. And if we just focus more on whole foods and a balanced intake of macronutrients instead of cutting, one full macronutrient out, we're going to be in a much better position. Keto products these days are just a marketing scheme to make money off of a popular diet, and are often high in protein and fat, which often the fat part is the problem. Like, fat is much more calorically dense. And so when you have high fat products, you're taking in a lot more calories than you often realize. And that's where we start struggling to lose weight. And it's also, a lot of people have a hard time adapting to a low carb, higher fat energy shift, if that makes sense. If you're attempting the keto diet, it's best to choose whole foods over processed. So if you want to try it just to see, avoid products that are saying, hey, I'm keto, and just, get eggs, get things that aren't trying to like be marketed to you. Whole foods over processed all the time. So that being said, let's cover some food that we should include in our diet. Number one, whole grains and fiber. This picture is kind of funny because it's like kale, even though it says whole grains. But the point of it is, like, we need whole foods and we need fiber in particular. And I think as I work with women, especially as we get to our 40s and beyond, fiber is one of the things that we are really under consuming. And so whole grains, they have fiber, and I've been eating a lot more whole grains the last couple of years than I previously had. But also just our leafy greens and everything, they're packed with fiber, and we need it. Fiber helps regulate the body's use of sugars and keeps us feeling more full and satisfied for longer. Soluble fiber is a great way to lower blood glucose levels and cholesterol. Good sources of these include oatmeal, not your instant oatmeal, if you remember, beans, nuts, apples, and blueberries. And then insoluble fiber helps food with moving through your digestive system. So these are really important, and we don't really talk about it, but it helps you poop and it's really good for you. Good sources of insoluble fiber include whole wheat products, quinoa, and leafy greens. Children and adults need at least 25 to 35 grams of fiber per day, but many Americans get less than 15 grams. And I promise you, like, again, I track my food a lot and make my husband track his sometimes. And the fiber that is like, if we can aim to increase our fiber through whole foods, almost everything else kind of starts to balance out a little bit. So if you're not paying attention to your fiber and all you're paying attention to is your carbs and your fat, let's see what we can do about the fiber. The next thing is lean protein. We really do need protein, and especially us women, we need more protein than what we're probably getting. The lean protein, let me first identify or like explain what lean protein is. The USDA defines lean protein as containing less than 10 grams of total fat and fewer than 4.5 grams of saturated fat per portion size. So 10 grams of fat is still not, I mean, that's like, it's not nothing. That's a decent amount. Lean protein can increase satiety and maintain and build muscle, promote weight loss, and keep your body functioning properly. It is super important. And again, along with fiber, as women age, we really have to focus on getting enough protein in our diet so that we can keep our muscle and not lose it. We should aim to have about 30% of our total calories as protein each day. Sometimes maybe that needs to be a little bit more. The first way to increase our lean protein intake is to use whole foods. It's always like the preferred way. Get your protein, get your food, your macronutrients, get your fiber, all of that stuff. Try to get as much as you can through whole foods. Some of our favorite sources are like skinless chicken breast, which I actually have some in the crock pot right now with some tomatoes and taco flavored seasoning type stuff, whitefish, tuna, plain Greek yogurt, beans. People forget about beans a lot. They have a good amount of protein. They do have some carbs, so make sure you're balancing and accounting for that. Nothing wrong with the carbs, just we don't need to go super crazy on the carbs. And cottage cheese is another really good option. If you're having trouble meeting your daily goal of protein, you can supplement with whey protein. That's what I said. I do that in the morning with my oatmeal, and then the rest of the day I'll generally eat meat, eggs, that kind of thing. If you're going to supplement, whey protein is the gold standard because it is a complete protein. It is generally easily assimilated by the body and easy to digest, all that kind of good stuff. So the next is going to be fresh, frozen, and canned produce. This is another thing. I personally love to just keep stuff stocked in my freezer, frozen veggies, frozen fruits, for all those things that I've talked about. Produce can be fresh, it can be frozen, and it can be canned. They're all okay. I personally don't do a ton of canned stuff. And if I do, I double check the label to make sure there's not a lot of added sodium in it. Or if it's something that can be rinsed, then that's not really going to be a big deal. But when you're shopping for fresh produce, it's awesome if you can, look for what's in season. It'll generally taste better, have better flavor, and might be a little less expensive. And it'll be generally a little more fresh because it hasn't been shipped from halfway around the world. Contrary to common belief, though, frozen fruits and vegetables are another great option. They are picked at peak ripeness and frozen immediately, like we talked about earlier with my yogurt thing that I make, to lock in all the nutritional value. They can be a great alternative to fresh because they can last for months in the freezer and are more economically favorable, aka they're cheaper. I probably have 4 different bags of frozen fruit in my freezer right now. I'm looking at it. And it's just awesome because so those times where you go and you buy a carton of blueberries and 2 days later, like mold has spread all through it and it's super frustrating. That doesn't happen with frozen fruit. So I love it. It makes it a lot more convenient to not have to throw food away, or if, something happened and you didn't eat what you planned for a couple days in a row, and now all of a sudden your food's gone bad. Again, it doesn't happen with the frozen stuff, and you can stock up on it so that you always have those staple things in your freezer. Like I always keep broccoli on hand. I always keep riced cauliflower on hand. I always keep frozen chopped spinach on hand in the freezer, and then a few different types of blueberries, because I know with those things, like I can make a smoothie, I can make, have veggies for our side at dinner, lots of different things. So I always just stock up when I see them and make sure I have plenty on hand so that I'm not without healthy options for lunch or dinner. Now canned can be a good option too. They are a good item to buy in bulk because again, they last for quite a while. The only issue is just double check. Sometimes some of the frozen and some canned items have a lot of added sugar. So you'll want to avoid that. I'll get canned pineapple sometimes because I like to put that with cottage cheese. I don't know if that sounds weird, but it's really good. But the canned pineapple, I will get it in the kind that's in the 100% juice, and then I will not add the juice. I'll just take the chunks out of the can. So watch that, because that extra sugar can add up pretty quick. And then there are some frozen fruits that have some added sugar to them, and there's some frozen veggies that, again, it's all back to the marketing. Like you could find cauliflower tots, read the ingredients, and then you'll know that is not the best option. So we want frozen fruits and vegetables, or canned fruits or vegetables that actually look like what they're supposed to be, instead of having been processed and made into something else. There's always a trade-off there. So just be mindful of marketing. And if something seems like it's really trying to tell you, like, look how awesome this is, be skeptical and just read the label and you'll probably know. So that's a lot of information. I know, but maybe, if you want to kind of like take it back and have just a few things to take away from this, try to think of the HSN principles. Like principle number 1 is add more whole foods into your diet. Like you just can't go wrong with that. Don't get wrapped up in, oh, but I heard fruit's not good because it's got too much sugar, or like I shouldn't eat, wheat or, gluten or whatever. As long as it's whole grain, go ahead and add a little bit. It's okay. Just try to add whole foods, real foods into your diet. The less processed, the better. Number 2, I cannot preach this enough. People that follow this way of building their meals have great success. It's the plate method. It's super simple. But basically, it's just half of your plate when you sit down and eat your lunch and your dinner. If you can do this for 2 meals a day, most days, you are going to see a drastic change in how you feel. Half of your plate should be non-starchy veggies. So we're talking broccoli, asparagus, cauliflower, carrots, tomatoes, peppers, all those kinds of things. And then a quarter of your plate will be lean proteins. That's where we're talking chicken or lean ground beef, turkey, that kind of thing. And then a quarter of it is going to be your starchy carbs. So maybe your potatoes, rice, maybe a piece of bread on the side. Those are all options, maybe some fruit. And then you'll have a little bit of added healthy fats. Now, the caveat there is if you have a fattier protein, so say you wanted to have like a good steak for dinner, you don't necessarily need to add in any extra fat because there's already a decent amount of fat there. But if you're having lean protein, you will want to add in a little bit of fat. And so that can be in the form of maybe a little bit of olive oil on a salad, or maybe some sliced avocado, or, there's lots of different options, but there's just a couple examples. So principle number 2, focus on balance. And that is where the plate method comes in, right? If you eat that way, the plate method gets you an even breakdown of your macronutrients, and it's going to get you a lot of fiber too if you fill up half of your plate with non-starchy veggies. So the next one is going to be principle number 3 is limit the amount of added sugar you consume daily. So just start being mindful and just look at everything that you put into your body and see what has added sugar into it. Remember that, we should be below 25 grams of sugar for women and 35 grams of added sugar for men. So just pay attention, see where it's at. And then once it's a lot easier to start changing. The average person consumes over 150 pounds of sugar per year, which is insane. It's not surprising. Sugar is super addicting and it's like hidden in almost every food product you find in a package. Like it's in everything. So just start being mindful of it. Read your labels, know what's in there. That's the best place to start. You don't have to throw everything out, but just start paying attention. So some of our questions that we get a lot, how do I know if it's healthy or not? Well, reading the nutrition label is a start. And I kind of spoke about this a minute ago, but if something is packaged and telling you how healthy it is or how great it is, be skeptical. Number one, if it's packaged and it has a label and advertising on it, that's your first clue. It may not be the best option, because it's been processed and packaged and they've found a way to make money off of this thing. And healthy food is generally not something that companies are able to make a lot of money off of. So keep that in mind. Doesn't mean that everything that comes in a package is bad. It's just let that kind of pique your curiosity, and then you can flip it over and read the label, see how many ingredients are in it, see how many of those ingredients you even know what they are. Read the sugar content, read the, total carbohydrate content, all that kind of stuff. Just be skeptical. That's all. Read your nutrition labels. So step 1, you got to determine what is the serving size, because sometimes we think, oh, that's not that bad. But then if you looked at the serving size, that was, that bottle of sports drink, for instance, a lot of times they'll say, 20 grams of sugar or 20 grams of carbs are in it, but that's for half the bottle, and nobody ever drinks half the bottle. So know how many servings this is referring to and what that looks like. And then look at the calories. Calories are not the end all be all for sure, but it is something that you want to be aware of. So it measures how much energy you're getting from that food. Now, if you see it pretty high, there's a good chance there's a lot of fat in it, which again, fat on its own, it's not necessarily bad. We need fat, and it's good to have fat with every meal that we eat. It helps our body take up vitamins better. It does a lot of good things, but the problem is that a lot of these processed foods are loaded with unhealthy, saturated or processed fats that are just not going to do us any good, besides adding a lot of extra calories. But we're going to look at saturated fat, sodium, added sugars, all that kind of stuff. But there's also some good stuff that we want to see more of, like the dietary fiber, vitamin D, calcium, iron, potassium. Those are all things that are good. So the more, the better. Total sugars are going to be, it may say stuff that's naturally in there, but it should also say if any sugars have been added to the product. And a lot of them are going to have both. Jelly is one where it's already got sugar. I mean, it's sugar, it's made out of fruit, but then almost every jelly brand out there has even more sugar added to it. So lots of sugar in jelly. Step 4 is looking at the percent daily value. It's important to understand that this is like a minimum. So I really don't even pay that much attention to the percent, but it at least kind of puts things into perspective. So just kind of learning to read that. it takes a little practice, but it's super fun after a while. Just kidding. One of the other questions we get, I don't love veggies. What should I do? Well, this is a common issue. Number one, keep trying some. You may just not have found the ones you like, or you may not have tried a preparation method that you like. I will say that roasting veggies is usually the best way to get the most people to like them. Roasted veggies just taste better than mushy microwaved veggies. Make sure you add some seasoning and add a little bit of like a spray of the avocado oil or something. Put it in the air fryer. That's like a pretty popular way for people to do veggies these days. Put some good flavors on there, some garlic, some salt, some pepper, mix it up, just try different things. That's really the key. Just try different ways of preparing it, try different vegetables, see what you can find, get creative. I bet you'll find something eventually that you like. But I also talked about adding more veggies into smoothies. That's a really easy way. It's like a cheat code. You can put like a half a cup of riced cauliflower and then like a half a cup of frozen spinach into your smoothie. You won't taste it, but you get all the benefits. So try those things and see what happens. Where should I start? This is another question. There's like some people feel like they have to do everything all at once and then they get overwhelmed and don't know what to do. So pick one thing, the one thing that you feel like is most important, or the one thing that would be the easiest for you to start working on. That's probably the best way to be successful. Pick the one thing that's going to be the easiest thing for you to just be continuously working on it and be consistent. And then once you start nailing that, then you can add another thing. The best thing, if you just aren't sure where to start, I would schedule an appointment to work with a nutrition coach one-on-one, obviously, because that's what we do. We help figure out where you should start and get you a plan and go from there. I think that's like all of my slides though. Just some more success stories here. So yeah, that is the end. If you have any questions, please reach out. You can email me or see me in the gym. I'd love to help people with their nutrition. And so if you want to just talk and see what the next step would look like, holler at me. If you have a friend that you think might benefit as well, please, I would love if you share my information with them so that we can just help people get to going in a better, healthier way. But thank you for participating. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, please holler.